Long ball number 2. We're going to go from renderings to current reality. And some MLS teams are dealing with some early season underachievement. The top 2 are easy to name. We'll try to work down who might be the 3rd or 4th most underachieving team so far in the early Major League Soccer season. But right out the gate, East and West, Atlanta and Galaxy, far and away the most underachieving in Major League Soccer so far.
Yeah, and I think, we've gone to great lengths. How many of us have gone to great lengths to kind of give the Galaxy a bit of a pass in all of this and
Yeah,
say,
we talked about this
well,
before. There's so many reasons.
it's so hard when you've basically had your team stripped down, and that's not necessarily all your fault. Obviously, losing a key figure to a major injury is not something that anybody in this league can really deal with. Very a few teams around the world could deal with or handle losing a player like Ricky Puig, Rob. So it's not ideal, and so you kind of go, well, is this really on them, or is this more on the league structure, and blah blah blah. But at the same time, like, be at least passable, like, be at least competent.
Maybe everyone thought they might sink down to like middle of the pack for a little while until they get it together. But this is just it's not mediocre. This is bad.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Like, in this league, I think it's possible, even if you are missing key pieces, even if you are dealing with uh, players being absent, that you definitely need to be good or be great or to be a champion. I don't know. Here's the Eastern Conference. Obviously, Columbus at the top. Let me make things a little bit clearer for you there. Columbus at the top. Charlotte, who's having a good start to the season, and Atlanta United down there in 11th on 9 points from 8 games. Couple of wins. I guess. Okay, this is what we did. We hyped them up because they went and spent a bunch of money. Now they got good players. I think Latte Lath is a good player, and obviously Almiron is a good player. He's a good enough player to be a difference maker in Major League Soccer. But it hasn't clicked yet. They have a new manager. Like, should we be giving more leeway to Atlanta United, Rob? Because a lot of this is coming together just now, and they're only 8 games into their season.
Yeah, there's about 25 games to go. I think they have plenty of time to figure it out. Perhaps new coach Ronnie Deila doesn't know his best 11 yet. I've heard some talk of they're imbalanced, they're not quite cohesive yet, and that's pretty clear. Are they not playing the style that those new additions need?
Right.
Is there a midfielder? I mean, obviously Almiron plays in space. Latte Laf seems like, from what I've seen of him, seems like the last touch finisher in the box for the most part. I guess, do they have the connector midfielder? Is there yet another piece missing, even though they've spent all the money, or are they just not playing the right players in the right places just yet? Well, I think there's time. There's definitely time for them to turn around, for sure.
Of course. And it doesn't help that you lose at home to a team that has been extremely poor for the better part of a year and a half, right? In New England. And maybe New England is improving, but man, you lose at home to New England. You can't find a goal. That's rough. Here's the Western Conference. You mentioned the Galaxy. Obviously, they're way down the bottom. They don't have a win yet. It's wild. Look, again, just with sort of like, we figure out our structure and maybe we play ugly football for a little while, you should be able to collect more points than that, right? Based on being a defending champion. Like, if you're Sporting Kansas City, we're not sitting here going, well, I can't believe Sporting Kansas City's in 14th. Everybody understands why Sporting Kansas City is in 14th. The Dynamo are disappointing too, by the way. Now, again, you can do this thing where you go, well, they lost 2 of their key pieces from last season in Hector Herrera and Carrasquilla, right? They lost key pieces. They sold one spit on a guy, so you can't have that. But it's also on the club to replace those players. Like, it's on the club to figure out a way to be consistently decent from year to year. And that's where the oh God, this really stinks stuff comes in.
Even with all the caveats that we mentioned and all the going out of our way to help the Galaxy, be understanding towards their plight, at what point is the coach, can the coach at the Galaxy face the hot seat in this? Do you think he gets a full season just off the back of winning MLS Cup last year,
Oh,
and given
yeah.
the caveats, is MLS
Yeah.
cutthroat enough to, or the Galaxy organization cutthroat enough to part ways with the coach that, the next season after a championship?
I don't think it can be reasonably justified. Like, I don't think if you're being logical about it, you can justify firing Greg Vanney after he won a championship. And again, there are lots of reasons to say it's not his fault or it's not entirely his fault. I guess that's the tension. If you are making the decisions for LA Galaxy, are you looking at this and going, well, Greg should be doing better? Like, yes, we lost a bunch of guys and Ricky's been hurt and all these things, but he should be doing better. And therefore, if he's not doing better, maybe somebody else could come in and do better. And I guess again, this is sort of that thing that's in the air of like, is this a season that you kind of just chalk up as a rebuild or a lost year because of all the things that have happened to your roster and the injuries? And then you have no justification for firing Vanny because you're already, as an organization, you're kind of punting on the season. Or are you setting a standard as the Galaxy and you are the most successful team in MLS history when it comes to MLS Cup titles? Are you always thinking we have to be involved in the title hunt? And if we're not, that's a failure. Make changes. Right. And I think this is something that's interesting about Major League Soccer, right? And interesting for some people might be terrible for others. But we talk about the number of playoff teams, that safety net that is 9 spots in each conference getting an opportunity to play for a championship. We talk about the lack of promotion and relegation. And as long as those things are there, as long as those are part of the equation when it comes to Major League Soccer, it makes it harder to get to this place of, well, if we're not in first place, second place, third place, if we're not around the league leaders, that's a failure for us. We set a high enough standard that we get to act like Real Madrid. We get to act like Manchester City, anybody else, right? And how you deal with disappointment, a la Manchester United, kind of shows all of your flaws, your warts, it uncovers all the ugliness. The Galaxy exists in a league where you can't really get your place to that mental level of being, if we're not in the title race every single moment or every single season, that's failure. We make changes.
Who would you say is then the next, the third place most underperforming out of everyone? You said Houston Dynamo. Do you think that maybe New England is in there, or were they kind of expected to be
I
where
mean,
they
New
are?
England wasn't expected to be good. I think New England was expected to be good. I do think that you could say they were expected to be better, and that's why it's somewhat surprising that they've held on to Caleb Porter and can continue to give him more leash to figure it out. You know, it's also by comparison, right? You look at clubs and the ones that are succeeding, and you compare them to others, and you go, well, if that team can do this, why can't we do this? Why did we fail? And obviously it goes beyond a coach in a league where sporting directors and technical directors and all those things make the decisions about rosters. You also lay it at their feet. So it's kind of this double act situation. So again, when I look at the standings and I look at the clubs like New England, DC doesn't spend enough. It's not really on the GM, it's on the club itself not giving Troy Liston enough weapons to be successful. You look at Atlanta, again, they spend a ton of money. So that raises the expectation for Ronnie Dyla. Is it Ronnie Dyla's fault that Atlanta United's not succeeding right now? Well, it could be. And we're all excited because he's an MLS Cup winning head coach. And you think that he's going to figure it out pretty quickly, and he hasn't. So again, and then you look at the clubs that are succeeding. Oh, look at what Charlotte's doing. They spent some money. They got some pieces in. They've got a coach who is in his second year, and he's got them playing some of the best soccer in the league right there behind Columbus. So when you compare what some other teams, and you look at you and go, why not us? That why not us can become the reason to kind of think we need to change things.
LA Galaxy are next up against Austin FC, and then Atlanta United, they face against Philadelphia in their next one. And one of the main supporters of the show, Mike Thomas, also a Ko-Fi contributor or coffee contributor. Mike Thomas, Atlanta going to hit Slump Buster FC next week. Is it really that bad for Philadelphia? Is the temperature that cold over there?
Well, okay, so yeah, let's go back to results from the weekend. When did Philly play? So I want to make sure I get the Phillies result on screen. They played yesterday. It played yesterday, right? Okay, no, there it is.
Oh boy,
we're missing it. There it is. NYCFC beating the Union, and that the Union started off so strong. right? And we're like, oh, look at what's happening. And Bradley Carnell and Ernst Tanner went public
It was the
with
false
his.
spring.
It went public with his statements of how I did it. I got it right. We made the right choice. Firing Jim Curtin was the right thing to do because look at us now. Look at what we're doing. Now they sold Daniel Gazdag. Whether Gazdag is the key to this, I don't know, because they were spiraling, as Mike said, before Gazdag left. Gazdag did make his debut for Columbus over the weekend, by the
We'll
way.
get to
So,
that.
and again, you look at the results, and Philly, who started out so strong and was top of the table, has now failed to win in their last 3. They lost to Miami, they drew with Orlando, and now here they are goalless again against NYCFC. Ty Baribo was the guy carrying them on the scoring end, and he hasn't scored recently. So that, again, false dawn. Was that not really who they are? It's a long season, and we don't know.